everyone and welcome to the very first video on I Covet Thee of 2015. I hope you all had an amazing Christmas and New Year's. I know I spent my New Year's Eve on the sofa in my pyjamas eating a bar of chocolate and watching Friends, so I had a pretty good time. Today I have my 2014 favourites for you, and I think these are not only my favourite videos to film but also my favourites to watch on other people's channels because it's just really rounding up the best in beauty from the whole year. And as with last year, I'm going to split this into two parts. I'm going to do makeup and nails today, and then on Wednesday you should be seeing my skincare, hair care and body products, because if I left this in one video it would just probably be about an hour long. I'm not going to go into too much detail on everything because again it will just take a really long time, and these have also been featured in probably all of my monthly favourites videos and countless blog posts and other videos too, so I'm sure you've already heard quite a lot about them. So let's start with makeup, and the first category is best primer, and this year I came across a really amazing lower price, more drugstore primer that I've been using every single time I need to. I don't use primer every single day because it's just an extra step and I'm slightly lazy when it comes to daily makeup, but whenever I know I need my makeup to last I always grab for this one, and it's the Max Factor Facefinity All Day Primer, and this is very similar to my last year favourite primer, which was the Hourglass Mineral Veil, which I still absolutely love. It's a perfect primer, it does everything, but it is just so ridiculously expensive, whereas this I think is under £10. I think it's about £9.99, which is an amazing price, and you get tons in there as well. It really just smooths out the texture of your skin and helps makeup glide on really effortlessly, but it also helps with shine and oil prevention, and yet it's not drying at all. And I do find with most primers that are designed to be kind of oil free and mattifying is that they really dry my skin out, whereas this one doesn't, so that's definitely been my favourite primer this year. So for best foundation I couldn't just pick one, I had to have two separate categories, so I have best high end and best low end. And my best high end, which you've probably already guessed by now, is the Bobbi Brown Skin Foundation, and I've become slightly obsessed with this over this year. I think I discovered it probably in February, January time, so quite early on in the beginning of the year, and I've just been amazed by it. It's such a beautiful foundation. The name Skin really is right for this one because it just looks like your own skin. The coverage is enough to smooth out any redness, and it's also quite buildable too, so if you do have areas of pigmentation or blemishes, it does smooth those out really nicely as well. But it's just the finish of it that looks so beautiful. It's so glowy and fresh looking, but it's not particularly sticky or tacky or dewy. It's not one of those foundations that feels like it's sliding off your skin. It really lasts. And then for budget pick I have the same one that featured in last year's favourites, Bourjois Healthy Mix. This poor thing is looking very battered and bruised, but I have just used so much of this stuff. This one has a very similar amount of coverage to the Bobbi Brown foundation, but it has a bit more to it, so it's very moisturising and hydrating. And if I know I'm having a very dry skin day, if I have dry patches and I don't want them to show up when I put my makeup on, I always reach for this one because I know it's just going to make my skin look very moisturised, very hydrated and very glowy. So in the category of best BB cream, tinted moisturiser type product, I think the winner has to be the Dior Skin Nude BB cream, and I think this is probably all I wore during summer. It's a very lightweight, very breathable product, and it does have a nice amount of coverage considering it is just a BB cream. The finish of this is really lovely too, because with some BB creams and tinted moisturisers they are just very greasy looking and they never really set down on the skin, whereas this has a slight matte, almost skin-like texture to it, and I think it just works really nicely when you are in a slightly warmer climate or if it is summer. So that was my favourite lightweight base of the year. Best concealer without a doubt has to be Origin's Plantscription. It just works so well at covering dark circles, but then around the face it looks so lovely, and it's not a thick concealer at all. It's very thin, very lightweight, but it's just packed full of coverage, so definitely best concealer of the year. Best powder again is one that I've mentioned so many times. This is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in Diffused Light. I actually had Dim Light featured in my last year's favourites, but I think Diffused has taken over as my favourite shade. I still kind of alternate between the two, but this one comes out a lot more often, and it's just such a nice way to set your makeup down and make it mattified and just help it last a lot longer, but without looking cakey or chalky at all. I used to be so against powders until I found these. So best bronzer was kind of a tricky one to pick because at the moment I've been really into NARS Laguna and I've been wearing that almost every single day, but I think for the majority of the year the one that I did reach for the most was Benefit's Hoola bronzer. This one actually has my name on it, which I think is adorable and probably one of the reasons that I picked it up the most, but I really don't think you can go wrong with Hoola. It's just the perfect matte bronzer. It's a really great colour as well. It's not too warm, it's not too cool, it's just perfectly in the middle and great for bronzing all over the skin, so definitely my favourite bronzer of the year. So I've added in a new category this time around, and it's best contour, and I think 2014 was definitely the year of the contour, especially for me. I finally managed to master how to contour my face properly, and it does help so much because I have quite round cheeks round sort of face area. It really does help to slim everything down, and my favourite product for it was the Kevyn Sculpting powder. This is really lovely and cool toned, so it just creates the illusion of a shadow under your cheekbone rather than having something a bit more warm and orangey, which just looks a bit false under there. And it has a very finely milled formula to it as well, so you can really blend it out very, very easily. Another category that was really hard to narrow down was best blusher, and let's face it, I have way too many blushes, so I've gone for two. I've gone for best powder and then best cream blusher. And best powder I think has to go to one of the Tarte Amazonian Clay blushes, because this was the year that I finally managed to get my hands on one. Sephora started shipping to the UK and I finally managed to try one, and it was just amazing. Of the colours that I have, I think my favourite has to go to Blissful. It's just a very pretty pink. It's very natural looking when it's on the cheeks, and it has a little bit of warmth in it. It's a bit corally too, which I think is the kind of blusher shades that I tend to prefer. And it's just a really lovely everyday one. I know I can pick this up and just wear it, and it goes with any eye looks, any lip colours. It's just a really all-round blush. I'm still yet to try Tarte's Exposed blush, which I know is probably everybody's absolute favourite. It's a really pretty browny neutral tone blush, so I think that's going to have to go on the shopping list this year. And then favourite cream blush has to be one that I really didn't expect to love as much as I did, but I ended up wearing it so much over the year, and it's Benefit's Majorette. I think this is probably one of their newest releases, and first of all, can we just appreciate how adorable the packaging is. It looks like a little macaroon, and it's just a really beautiful peach shade. I definitely had a bit of a thing for peach this year, peach blushes, peach lipstick, peach everything, and this was a really lovely one for just adding a lot of warmth and colour to the cheeks. It's a really pretty one to wear in summer, and one that I think I'll be cracking out again next year. So best highlighter is the same as last year's favourite, and will probably be my favourite highlighter forever, or until I stop wearing makeup, and it's theBalm's Mary Lou Manizer. If you're looking for a really glowing, champagne-y, neutral tone highlight that just looks so dewy and radiant on the skin, this is definitely the one. But it doesn't have any glitter in it at all. It's amazing. It never looks overly sparkly. You can't see any bits of shimmer in it. It's just beautiful, and I've had this for such a long time and I've barely made a dent in it at all, so it definitely lasts for a really long time. Picking a favourite brow product of the year was definitely a tricky thing to do, because I've gone through so many different kinds of brow products. I've had powders, pencils, creams, mousses, all sorts, but I think my favourite of the year, the one that's impressed me the most, has to be the Tarte Waterproof Amazonian Clay Brow Mousse. And brow mousse has definitely had a moment this year. There was the Anastasia Dip Brow, and then this one, and I think this is definitely the one I prefer. These are almost like using a gel liner but for your brows, so you get a very precise, very accurate look with them, and you can really do a nice bold defined brow. And then you can also use maybe a smaller brush and a lighter hand and really just feather in all the little hairs on there too, so you can either do something quite bold or something quite natural. It's very, very versatile. In the category of best eyeshadow, we have Burberry's Pale Barley, and this really wasn't a hard choice to make. I don't think I've ever used a single eyeshadow so much. I tend to just go for my palettes and pick out a few shades from there, but this one has had so much use since I bought it. I've probably worn it at least every other day since I got it. It's a really pretty bronzy brown taupey shade, and it's so flattering on the eyes. It really has become just my go-to everyday eyeshadow. Although this is probably one of the most expensive eyeshadows I've ever bought, and the price makes me kind of shudder slightly when I think about it, I've definitely got the wear out of it, so I think it's definitely been worth it. And then for favourite cream shadows stick, which I'm slotting in as an extra category because I've really used quite a lot of them this year, is the Stay Perfect Shade and Define stick from No. 7. And this whole range of colours that they do are really, really pretty. They do really lovely browns and neutrals, they do a really lovely gold, but I think the shade Coffee Bean has been my favourite. It's a really warm tone, rich brown, and I do have one of the By Terry Ombre Black Stars, which are just beautiful. The packaging alone is just stunning, but I think these are very, very similar, almost identical actually, and they're probably about a quarter of the price. These are really great for using all over the lid, really colouring it in and then blending it, or using as an eyeliner. You can really do a lot of things with them, and they last for such a long time. I actually swatched these on the back of my hand when I bought them, and I couldn't wash the swatches off. I had to use eye makeup remover with an oily base to get them off, so they really, really are long lasting and they stay on so well. And then best eyeshadow palette, again it was a toss up between two, but I think it has to go to the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. I got this for Christmas last year, and I really have got so much wear out of it. First of all, the packaging is just gorgeous. I think this is definitely my favourite packaging of all the Naked palettes. I think the first one is just that kind of velvety texture which just attracts all dirt and dust. I don't actually have the second one, but I think it's in something maybe a bit similar. And then the Basics palettes, they're kind of in that rubbery texture type thing, which I'm not really a fan of, but this is just so nice. A little tin that opens up, and then you have these really pretty kind of rose gold tinge shades in there. These 6 colours at the bottom here, the darker ones, I've had so much use out of them this year. I love this one here, which is called Black Heart. It's kind of a sparkly, purpley, glittery one. And then the matte shade here, Nude, is a really pretty crease colour. And I love all these taupey brown shades as well. You really can't beat Urban Decay eyeshadows for texture and blendability. They're just so creamy and lovely to work with. And this has just been my favourite palette, I think, my most reachable palette all year long. So best eyeliner is another one from Tarte. I've just been really loving Tarte this year. And this is their Amazonian waterproof liner in bronze, and I've always been a bit of a black liquid liner girl, but for some reason this year I've just been preferring a more browny shade, something a bit softer, a bit more subtle than a black. This is a really pretty one because it has a kind of metallic shimmer to it. It's a bit of a goldy bronze and I think it looks really, really pretty. You can still do a nice wing liner with it. It's still very defining on the eyes, but it's just a bit softer and a bit more natural, and I've really been preferring that recently. So in the category of best mascara, I had to pick 2. I feel like one of these I was really enjoying in the first half of the year and the other in the second half. So they are the Makeup Forever Smoky Lash Mascara and the L'Oreal Miss Manga Mascara. I think I've probably said L'Oreal Miss Manga more than anything in all of my videos. This one though is completely dried up now, but I kept it just to show in this video, and I really didn't get on with it too much when I first bought it, and I think the key is just letting it dry out a little bit. Even just leaving it on the side open for a couple of hours or so just helps to almost improve the formula and tighten it up a little bit. I found it was quite wet and liquidy when I first used it, but the longer I waited and the more I used it, it just got really nice and thickening, incredibly volumizing, and the colour of this is amazing because it is so dark and black. Of course, after that I went back to L'Oreal's Miss Manga Mascara. I honestly don't think you can beat this for a lower price drugstore mascara. It's so thickening, so volumizing, and the thing I love about it most is you only really need to do 1 or 2 coats. I hate it when mascaras do look really nice eventually, but you have to sit there and really work at it for a few minutes, whereas I like to just have a really quick and easy one, and this is definitely that. If I had to pick between the 2, I think it would probably be L'Oreal, just because it's a lot easier to get hold of and the price is much better, whereas this requires a Sephora order which takes a few days, and obviously the shipping is a little bit extortionate, but I do really love both of them. So on to a few lip favourites, and the category of best bold lipstick is probably the one that I have the most products to choose from. The Kevyn Aucoin matte lipstick in Forever. Let's just take a moment to appreciate how incredible this lipstick is. Not only is the colour just the perfect bright warm pink, the formula is just amazing. It's honestly the best lipstick formula I've ever come across. It lasts for so long and yet it's so comfortable to wear. It feels just like a really hydrating, really moisturising lipstick, and yet it looks very matte, which is definitely my favourite finish. If I'm going to a party, if I know I'm going to be out for a long time, or if I'm going for a meal and I'm eating, I know I can pick this one and be safe with it just because it lasts through absolutely everything. So after that massive rave, the category of best lipstick I think has to go to NARS Barbarella. This might not be everybody's idea of a nude, but for me, because I have quite pale skin, if I wear a very pale lipstick it tends to just wash me out completely. It's a really lovely warm tone pink. It's almost a bit peachy, and it's just a kind of your lips but better and a bit pinker and a bit peachier kind of shade. It's one of NARS sheer lipsticks too, so it's quite moisturising, it's quite sheer and natural looking, so I think it's the perfect everyday lip colour. Best lip liner has to go to the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat. I love this stuff. This is in the shade Pink Venus, and it's a really pretty, again, your lips are better colour, a bit warmer, a bit pinker. So if I'm not really wearing a lip colour and if I'm having quite a natural makeup day, I like to just use this to even out my lips. They are slightly wonky, one side is a bit thinner than the other, so this really helps to just even that out but still look like you're not really wearing anything on them. And these are really beautiful formulas. I think Charlotte Tilbury makeup is just incredible and so pretty, so I need to get some more of that this year. So best lip gloss is kind of a funny one for me because I never used to like lip gloss. In fact, I hated it. I hated having sticky lips and glossy lips, but this has actually been one of my most used lip products this year, and it's the Maybelline Colour Sensational Shine Gloss in Glorious Grapefruit, and I also really like the shade Cashmere Rose. Considering how budget these are, they really are amazing formulas. They don't feel sticky, they don't stick to your hair, they don't do anything like that. They just look like a really lovely glossy shiny lip, and I've been using it on its own. I like to put it on top of other lipsticks, especially this one looks quite nice on top of the NARS Barbarella, so just an all-round really good one, and I'm definitely now a lip gloss convert. So I have 2 last categories for makeup, and they are for tools. One is brushes and one is just for makeup tool in general. And for brush, I think it has to be the Sephora Pro Airbrush Concealer Brush, and I was a big fan of using the Real Techniques contour brush for concealer. I think any buffing brush works really brilliantly with concealer because you just get such an airbrush finish, but this one is slightly different because it's a lot smaller and it's more densely packed, so I found you can get into the kind of smaller areas around the eye, around the nose, and it just works concealer in a little bit better. It doesn't absorb as much into the brush. And then favourite makeup tool, you've probably guessed it, is a pair of eyelash curlers, and these are the Shimmer original colours. I did mention the S colour back in last year's favourites, but I think the original wins overall, and I think if you don't own a pair of lash curlers, it's something that really needs to change. They just make such a difference. They open up your eyes, they make them look wider, and they make your lashes look longer, and it's just such a quick and simple thing to do in your makeup routine. So Shimmer eyelash curlers definitely a winner. So that was the category of makeup over and done with. I hope you're not too exhausted. I know I am getting slightly tired out, but now I have a few nail picks, and I've shortened this down slightly because last year I had favourite nail treatment, nail file, nail everything like that, and they've pretty much stayed the same throughout the year. So I just have my favourite colours and my favourite top and base coat. So instead of trying to do the impossible and picking one favourite nail colour from the whole year, I've split it into 4 seasons, so my favourite spring, summer, autumn and winter colours. And the first one is spring, and I was definitely into my pastels and also the Barry Jelly range. These are probably my favourite lower priced drugstore nail varnishes, in fact maybe one of my top 2 nail polish formulas of all. This one for me though was a real favourite. This is Huckleberry, and it's just a really beautiful powder blue, very very pale pastel, and Barry actually brought out a range of I think 3 or 4 pastel colours, and they were all beautiful, and again the jelly formulas are just amazing. In the summer I kind of went in a different direction to my usual nail polish habits, and I didn't really reach for too many bright colours. Instead it was all about white nails, and this is Essie's Blanc. Definitely not the nicest formula of nail polish, and I think with all whites across the board they're always going to be a bit patchy and a bit hard to apply, but I think it's worth it because I think white nails just look so clean and pretty. Autumn favourite, of course, Essie Soulmate. To me this is just the ultimate burgundy berry nail varnish. So pretty, and probably the one that I'd wear all year round if I had to just pick one. And then for winter I kind of was into more glittery shades. This is a Nails Inc Alexa Sequins, and not only did Nails Inc have a bit of a rebrand and a relaunch with their packaging, which just looks absolutely stunning, but they also teamed up with Alexa Chung, who's just style goddess. This is a really lovely black and gold glitter polish, and the black bits are slightly more matte, and then the gold bits are very glittery and very shiny, and I think this looks beautiful on top of a black nail varnish, or even on top of a nude as well. It can be really nice, but that was definitely my most worn festive one. So base coat and top coat favourites haven't really changed. For base coat it's Essie's Fill the Gap. This is amazing if you have quite ridged nails like I do, and no matter how much buffing and shaping and filing I do, they always just seem to be very ridged, and it really shows through a lot of nail varnishes, whereas this just creates a really nice smooth base, and I think it helps as well the nail varnish to last a lot longer when it's on a very blank and smooth canvas. So Essie's Fill the Gap for base coat, and then top coat of course Seche Vite. It's just the best, the ultimate. We don't really need to talk about it because everyone knows how good it is. I love this stuff. So shiny and glossy, and I can paint my nails, use this, and then literally rummage around in my handbag and it doesn't smudge at all, so it is the best. So we've reached the end of part 1 of my 2014 beauty favourites. I hope you've enjoyed that probably 25-minute ramble all about makeup, and let me know what your favourite makeup product of the year was as well. If you could only pick one, just one thing, what your favourite was. And I will see you all again on Wednesday for part 2 of this video, which is going to be my skincare, hair care and body care favourites, and probably a few other bits just thrown in for good measure. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all soon.